You have a job. Your paycheck arrives on time. But somehow, your bank balance just never seems to grow. In 2026, millions of Americans are working full-time, some even 2 jobs. Yet they're living paycheck to paycheck, renties I get. Groceries cost more. Those credit card balances just keep rising. And savings, for many, they're almost gone. There was no official announcement. No breaking news alert, but a silent recession is spreading across America, one that doesn't show up in the headlines, yet hits your wallet every single day. So why do Americans feel poorer than ever, even while they're employed? And more importantly, how do you survive the silent recession of 2026? Recessions usually come with clear warnings. Stock market crashes, mass layoffs, a constant sense of fear on the news. But this time is different. In 2026, the U.S. economy looks stable, at least on paper. Unemployment isn't exploding. Businesses are still operating. Yet households across the country feel financially suffocated. This documentary isn't about politics. It's about reality. We're going to explore what's really happening beneath the surface of the U.S. economy and why working Americans feel broke, despite doing everything they were told was right. Let's start with the paycheck illusion. On paper, your wages have gone up. You got that raise last year, maybe even a promotion. But has your financial situation actually improved? For most people, the answer is a frustrating no. Your purchasing power has gone down. That raise, which looked so good on your paycheck, disappears the moment you pay your rent, your car insurance, your utilities, and your groceries. We hear that inflation is cooling, but let us be honest, prices never returned to what they were before 2020. Americans aren't poor because they earn less. They're poor because their money buys less. You're working just as hard, maybe even harder, but your dollar just doesn't stretch as far. This is the paycheck illusion. Earning more, yet affording less. It's a treadmill where you're running faster just to stay in the same place. Now, let's talk about the cost of living trap. For many, rent has become the single biggest enemy of savings. In many major cities, it is not uncommon for rent alone to eat up 40 to 50% of a person's monthly income. Before you've even bought a single thing, half your money is gone. And then there are groceries. The cost of basic food items is significantly higher than it was just a few years ago. That weekly shopping trip feels more and more like a major financial decision. Add to that the rising costs of transportation, healthcare, and insurance premiums, which quietly drain your wallet every single month. You can have the most disciplined budget in the world, but it's nearly impossible to outrun these rising fixed costs. The narrative that people are in financial trouble because they overspend on lattes and avocado toasts is outdated. The truth is Americans aren't overspending, they're being overcharged just to live. So, how are people coping? Credit cards are propping up lifestyles. They've shifted from being tools for luxury purchases to survival tools. In 2026, household credit card debt has soared to historic levels. Many Americans are relying on credit just to cover basic living expenses and maintain a normal standard of living. It's not about buying fancy gadgets. It's about paying for gas to get to work or buying groceries when your bank account is empty a week before payday. And the high interest rates turn what might seem like small balances into long-term financial traps. Making only the minimum payments keeps you afloat, but it ensures you're never truly free from the debt. This isn't reckless spending. For millions, it's a form of financial oxygen, a temporary solution to a permanent problem. Even for those with jobs, that sense of security feels fake. We used to think that a good job meant stability. Not anymore. Layoffs are happening, but they're often done quietly, team by team, without the big dramatic announcements of the past. Contracts are getting shorter. Full-time benefits are becoming weaker, or being replaced by gig work with no safety net. And then there's the looming presence of automation and AI, which continue to replace roles not just in factories, but even in white-collar professions that were once considered secure. Writers, analysts, even some programmers are feeling the pressure. So workers aren't just afraid of losing their income. They're afraid of becoming irrelevant in a rapidly changing job market. This silent recession hits the middle class the hardest. It's a classic squeeze. They often earn too much to qualify for any government assistance, but not nearly enough to feel financially comfortable. They pay some of the highest tax rates, face the highest rent burdens, and often carry the most debt from student loans and mortgages. The American dream of a house, a stable job, and a comfortable retirement hasn't disappeared. For many, it's just become unaffordable. The goalposts keep moving further and further away. It's important to understand why this isn't a normal recession. Traditional recessions are sudden and sharp, like a storm that hits hard and fast. This one is slow and grinding. It's like death by 1,000 expenses. There's no single catastrophic collapse, just constant, relentless pressure. That's why it feels so confusing. When the economy is supposedly good, but you feel like you're failing, it's easy to blame yourself. You think, what am I doing wrong? But this isn't an individual failure. It's a systemic, structural shift in the economy. But it's not all doom and gloom. Smart Americans are adapting. They're fighting back not necessarily by working more hours, but by earning smarter. They're finding ways to reduce their fixed costs, whether that means getting a roommate, moving to a lower cost of living area, or negotiating their bills. They're actively avoiding lifestyle inflation. So when they do get a raise, that extra money goes straight to savings or debt, not to a more expensive lifestyle. Many are building side income streams, not just for extra cash, but for an extra layer of security. They're saving aggressively whenever possible, even if it's just small amounts. Little by little, it adds up. And most importantly, they've stopped waiting for things to go back to normal. They've accepted this new reality and are making proactive changes. So what can you actually control? You can't control inflation. You can't control the Federal Reserve's interest rates. You can't control global economic cycles. But you can control your own actions. You can control your debt by creating a plan to pay it down aggressively. You can control your spending awareness by tracking where every single dollar goes. You can build an emergency savings fund, even if you have to start with just $5 a week. You can control your skill development, making yourself more valuable and adaptable in the job market. Survival in 2026 isn't about chasing luxury, it's about building resilience. The silent recession of 2026 doesn't shout, it whispers. It shows up as that constant stress in the back of your mind, as anxiety about the future, as that nagging feeling that something is fundamentally wrong. Eben Wenyuri. Doing everything you're supposed to do. But awareness is power. Those who understand what's happening can adapt. Those who plan for this new economic reality can survive, and eventually, even thrive. This isn't the end of opportunity. It's the end of ignoring reality. The silent recession is here. The only question is, will you let it break you, or will you use it to prepare and become stronger? Thanks for watching. If this video resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content on navigating our modern economy.